Hello, this is John Kruse with the University of Missouri-Columbia, College of Agricultural, Food, and Natural Resources, Division of Applied Social Sciences. Very pleased to report to you today results of a two-year project that involved quantifying the cost and returns for Missouri's specialty crops. The project was actually directed at evaluating the economic viability of expanding fresh and processed fruit and vegetable production in Missouri. And we have a report that's available on this website, fabry.missouri.edu, and then just click on Farmers Corner Specialty Crops, and you can see all of these reports. The report is divided up into three sections. The first section is kind of a report on uh, the interviews that we conducted with farmers, also talking with farmers about some of the obstacles to production, and then discussing with them the marketing experiences that they've had and what they saw as steps in expanding production um, uh, of fruits and vegetables in the state and their experience with that. Part two looks at the further down the supply chain and talks, and it's got reports on a series of interviews with production with processing firms. And then finally, part three is directed at commercial growers, and it contains special considerations, advantages, and disadvantages of participating at different market levels and what to expect as you go to bigger markets. And then also provides the paper copies of the enterprise budgets that we're about to look at. So with that, I'm going to jump to the budget. You'll notice that we have budgets for different fruit crops and vegetable crops. And then finally at the bottom, we have high tunnel budgets. And these budgets, if you click on the name here, for example, for apples, it's going to take you to an Excel file, and it's going to show you an enterprise budget for apples. Now, apples, of course, are a perennial crop, and so it takes a few years before your apple trees are going to start to yield. And so when you look at these budgets, you're going to see the initial cost over the first few years. You're going to see only costs, but no yields from those respective crops. And so at the top of every budget that you're going to see, you'll see the revenues, and you'll see it takes till year 5 before we have any yield. So we don't get any revenue until year 5. And then below the revenues, you'll see the variable cost. These are the different costs for the various activities that we do each year. And then down at the bottom, you'll see fixed cost. And then finally, a return over total cost for each year. Now, in the case of apples, since we know it's going to be a longer term investment, how many years does it take before we can break even? And in this case, using a 6% discount rate, it takes about 8 years to break even. But of course, we're going to keep that apple orchard longer than 8 years, and maybe we're going to keep it 20 or 30 years. And so if we keep it 20 years, we're going to make in total $32,065.63 per acre. And then if I wanted to say, well, what would I make on average per acre if I have a 20-year orchard with 16 of those years where we're actually bearing apples? Well, I'd make about a $1,603.28 per acre. So that's the apple budget set up, and again over multiple years because of different levels of yield occurring in different activities that we need to do as we build that orchard up. Now let's switch to an annual crop, and of course if we go to green beans here, we're going to notice that there aren't multiple years here because this is only an annual crop. And so again, just like for the perennial crop, we notice revenues at the top, and then followed by cost, where we have variable cost, and then fixed cost, and then finally a return over total cost down below. Now, every time you use one of these budgets, the first thing you should do is customize it to your operation. One of the things I wanted to note here is that these budgets are largely based on surrounding states because we don't have a lot of data for Missouri specifically. So if you can help us refine these input quantities, We would love to hear from you. So please tell us if you have a different experience, and we'll continue to make these budgets better and better for you. Um, Finally, I wanted to mention just on these annual budgets, you'll notice that sometimes there's more detail on machinery cost information that's down below. So so that is there for you as well. And then sometimes we also will document what state we've looked at to measure this budget against. And in this case, it's for this particular budget, the inputs used were based on a University of Georgia budget. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go back to the website, and I want to end with one final thing. There's some additional resources that may be useful for you. So if you click right here where it's the here was with a different color, you can see fruit and vegetable enterprise budgets from other states, some fruit and vegetable production guides from various extension services. And then we have vegetable production guides. We have pest management tools for identifying and controlling diseases, some food safety regs, which are important, especially as you get into larger markets, high tunnels, and especially the EQIP program, which is important as you consider possibly putting in high tunnels to extend your growing season. And then some of the other things like trade magazines and other factors that would be important for you. So with that, I'm going to stop, and I invite you to send me any comments, thoughts, reflections. If there's other budgets you'd like to see, please let us know about that. My email is krusej@missouri.edu. I look forward to hearing from you.